Story unfolding at this hour, the emergency rescues amid deadly flooding now across several states tonight. At least 3 dead. Families are being rescued from their rooftops. Heavy rain and floods washing away highways in Spencer, Nebraska, towns cut off by the floods, and that's just one community, one example tonight. Those helicopters airlifting those families to safety. We have the pictures, and now a new threat tonight of rain moving in yet again. ABC's Gio Benitez from Nebraska.
Tonight, roads and bridges washed out, dams and levees destroyed. Thousands of families forced to evacuate amid the worst flooding to hit parts of the heartland in decades.
There goes the Mormon Canal Bridge right there. It just washed out.
Hundreds rescued already, including 4 people from this Nebraska home surrounded by water. Animals trapped too. Dogs saved from this Iowa home. Back in Nebraska, military officials say 1/3 of Offutt Air Force Base was heavily flooded. Offutt is home to Strategic Command, which oversees America's nuclear forces. West of Omaha, the Elkhorn River rising 10 feet above flood stage. Record snow and cold followed by a rapid warm-up made water levels rise so much in rivers like the Elkhorn River that days later, some neighborhoods are still underwater. In northwest Missouri, residents in Craig filling sandbags, bracing for the water coming their way.
We will do anything we can to keep this town dry.
The water's now claiming at least 3 lives in the region.
Let's get to Gio Benitez. We can see that flooded out home there behind you. You're live in Waterloo, Nebraska tonight, and officials there are telling you that just about every single road in and out of that town is damaged tonight, Gio?
That's right, David. In fact, you can only get to this town behind me by airboat. And you see that house right there? It's actually been moved off its foundation, and now officials are worried about rain in the region tomorrow.
We're thinking about all those families tonight, Gio. Our thanks to you. In the meantime, now to the major development tonight in the deadly plane crash that grounded Boeing 737 MAX jets across the world, here in the U.S. as well. Investigators say the black boxes tonight now confirm, quote, clear similarities between the 2 air disasters involving that new Boeing MAX 8, their newest and fastest selling jet. ABC's David Curley tonight on what we've now learned.
Tonight, it is French investigators confirming at least some of the data from this Ethiopian crash is similar to the Lion Air Boeing 737 MAX crash less than 5 months earlier. The angle of the 2 jets on their wild up and down ride before crashing is similar. But that data, after being extracted from the black boxes in France, was taken back to Ethiopia, with that country's transport minister saying it could be 30 days before more is known.
You can't fix the airplane until you know what the issue is. We need the data to know what to fix.
The question was an anti-stall safety system, a factor in the first crash, also involved in the second crash. That safety feature forces the nose down. Pilots didn't know about the system before that first crash. And tonight, questions being raised about how Boeing's safety system was certified by the FAA.
They need to question and evaluate all the manufacturer's claims, and perhaps that wasn't done as rigorously as it should have been.
In a statement, Boeing says the MAX was certified in accordance with FAA requirements, and the FAA says there was no pressure to speed up the certification of the 737 MAX.
ABC News filed a Freedom of Information Act request with the FAA about the certification of the 737 MAX back in mid-December. We've not heard back from the FAA. David?
All right, but we know you'll stay on it. David Curley, our thanks to you again tonight. And now to President Trump this evening, who spent much of his weekend tweeting, more than 50 tweets. Among the president's targets, Senator John McCain, who passed away nearly 7 months ago. McCain's daughter, Meghan McCain, defending her father today, and ABC senior White House correspondent Cecilia Vega tonight.
President Trump is no stranger to bashing John McCain.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured.
But this latest attack in that weekend tweet storm comes nearly 7 months after the senator's death from brain cancer, a blow so low even the president's own allies jumped to McCain's defense. Over the weekend, the president accused McCain of spreading the fake and totally discredited dossier, a reference to that 2016 document outlining salacious accusations about the Trump team and Russia. Just hours before the tweet, the dossier mentioned on Fox News. On Sunday, the president's still going, falsely tweeting, quote, "So it was indeed John McCain that sent the fake dossier to the FBI and media, hoping to have it printed before the election." The truth is, McCain did turn over the dossier to the FBI, but it happened after the election, and there's no evidence he leaked it to the media. Today on The View, his daughter Meghan McCain firing back.
He spends his weekend obsessing over great men.
Defending her father.
My father was his kryptonite in life. He's his kryptonite in death. When my father was alive up until adulthood, we would spend our time together cooking, hiking, fishing, really celebrating life. And I think it's because he almost died. And I just thought, your life is spent on your weekends, not with your family, not with your friends, but obsessing over great men you could never live up to. That tells you everything you need to know about his pathetic life right now. I genuinely feel bad for his family. I can't imagine having a father that does this on the weekends.
Cecilia Vega with us live tonight from the White House. And Cecilia, the president also with Twitter has been taking aim at his potential Democratic opponents. And we have news on a couple of them tonight. First, Beto O'Rourke. As you know, Cecilia, news that he raised more than $6 million in his first 24 hours of his campaign, more than any other candidate. But there was also news involving former Vice President Joe Biden, making news with something he said this weekend, a sort of very telling slip of sorts about a campaign to come. Let's listen.
I'm told I get criticized by the New Left. I have the most progressive record of anybody running for the if anybody who would run. I didn't mean it.
The most progressive record of anyone running was what he said at first, Cecilia. It sure sounds like he's running.
Yeah, David, it's really sounding like it's not a question of if, but when. Sources close to Biden tell our team that he's not 100% there yet. He hasn't quite made up his mind, but if and when he does make this announcement, we're looking at still a couple weeks away. Biden has already caught the attention of President Trump from right here inside the White House today. David, the president called Biden a low IQ individual on Twitter.
Here we go. Cecilia, thank you. Overseas tonight, authorities around the world on high alert tonight after New Zealand already, and now the possible terror scare in the Netherlands. A gunman opening fire on a train during rush hour, killing at least 3 people in the Dutch town of Utrecht. Authorities launching an intense manhunt at this hour, the government raising the terror threat level, and ABC senior foreign correspondent Ian Pannell reporting in.
In the middle of the morning, 10:49 a.m., gunfire erupting on a Dutch commuter tram, raising immediate fears this could be a New Zealand-style terror attack. The gunman wielding an automatic weapon, killing 3 and wounding 5 more, then fleeing the scene. Heavily armed counter-terrorism police descend in force, authorities releasing these surveillance images from just 4 minutes before the shooting spree, identifying the suspect as 37-year-old Gökmen Tanis from Turkey. For a while, the terror threat level in Utrecht was raised to its highest level. Neighborhoods locked down, police moving door to door in search of the suspect. Then, authorities announcing an arrest, but the motive still a mystery.
We are investigating all possibilities, so that means possible terrorist motives, but also other possible personal motives.
Well, David, a second man is also in custody, suspected of being involved in that incident. Meanwhile, a prime suspect now being questioned about why he opened fire on this spot earlier today. David?
Ian Pannell with us tonight. Ian, thank you. And of course, all of this playing out as New Zealand deals with the horror of its worst terrorist attack ever, the attack in Christchurch. Vigils held for the 50 people killed by that gunman at 2 mosques just 3 miles apart. Well, what that suspect did in court, and tonight now the new fear, the Joint Intelligence Bulletin right here in the U.S., warning that Al-Qaeda and ISIS are calling on Muslims to retaliate around the world by launching their own attacks. ABC's Will Carr again tonight from New Zealand.
Tonight, authorities worried about copycat attacks, while raw emotion continues to pump through the heart of New Zealand. The alleged gunman accused of killing 50 people. A self-proclaimed racist, his face blurred per local law, seen flashing a hand sign linked to white power in court. The mayor of Christchurch in disbelief. Did you ever imagine that an attack like this would play out in your city?
No. Nothing could be further from my mind. You know, there has always been an underbelly.
Gun owners already voluntarily turning in their weapons. New Zealand's Prime Minister calling for stronger gun laws while embracing heartbroken residents.
Within 10 days of this horrific act of terrorism, we will have announced reforms which will, I believe, make our communities safer.
Stories of survival now surging through this city, including the father who shielded his toddler, an American citizen, from gunfire.
Will Carr with us live again tonight from New Zealand. And Will, I wanted to go back to that joint intelligence bulletin you reported on. It comes from U.S. law enforcement, the FBI, DHS among them, warning of potential copycat attacks around the world now.
That's right, David. As people here continue to mourn, authorities in both the United States and here in New Zealand say there is a real concern about copycats. It comes as both ISIS and Al-Qaeda are calling for retaliation, so law enforcement across the world on high alert tonight. David.
Will Carr, our thanks to you again tonight. And back here at home now, and to news this evening about a deadly casino robbery in Las Vegas that played out this weekend. In fact, tonight, new surveillance images have just been released. Police say the armed suspect demanded money from the poker cage at the Bellagio, and then a gunfight erupts with the officers as he tries to escape the Vegas Strip. Here's ABC's Clayton Sandell.
Tonight, a violent Las Vegas casino shootout seen from surveillance cameras. Police say it started Friday night. The suspect, Michael Cohen, armed with a gun, demanding money from a Bellagio cashier.
Cohen entered the Bellagio poker room and robbed the casino cage at gunpoint. Cohen fled with cash and casino chips he stole from the cage and exited through the north doors into the valet area.
As Cohen was running out of the casino, so was his luck. He tries carjacking a driver, but is spotted by these officers already there on another call. As they confront him, he opens fire, hitting one officer. Police return fire. Cohen is hit and dies at a hospital.
We're going to transport an officer.
That officer, shot in the chest, was saved by his bulletproof vest. Police also saying tonight they believe Cohen is the same suspect who robbed the same casino back in 2017. That crime unsolved until now. David.
Clayton Sandell with us tonight. Clayton, thank you. Here in New York City tonight, there are new developments in the murder of a reputed mob boss at Staten Island. The suspected killer making his first court appearance in New Jersey today, flashing messages scrawled on his hand there. He's accused of luring Francesco Colli out of his home by ramming a car backwards into another car to get him out of the house. Here's ABC's Lindsay Davis.
Some of the first images tonight of the 24-year-old police say murdered an alleged mobster.
Is it true you're waiving your right for extradition? Yes, sir.
Anthony Camello appearing today in a New Jersey courtroom with the words MAGA Forever scribbled on his palm. Camello is accused of murdering reputed Gambino family crime boss Francesco Frankie Boy Colli. Police say Camello shot the 53-year-old purported godfather after allegedly smashing into Colli's parked car outside his Staten Island home.
Confirm male shot. Get a rush on the bus.
Just moments before the murder, the two men were reportedly spotted on grainy surveillance talking and shaking hands. Police say they later tracked Camello's phone to the crime scene and discovered his fingerprints on Colli's blood-stained SUV. Sources say investigators believe he was dating Colli's female relative when Colli reportedly told him to stop seeing her. This is the first time a reputed mob boss has been killed in New York City in more than 30 years. But police say they don't believe that this is mob-related. David.
All right, Lindsay Davis tonight. Lindsay, we're going to turn next here tonight to news on aspirin and whether you should be taking it to reduce your risk of heart attack or stroke. There are new guidelines tonight from the American Heart Association. And so let's get right to Dr. Jen Ashton, because Jen's been tracking this all day. And Jen, you and I both know there are a lot of people watching the news tonight who've been taking that daily dose of aspirin to try to reduce heart attack or stroke. But for folks who are 70 or older, this is a major reversal.
Oh, it's big news, David, in the world of cardiology. The new guidelines say if you're 70 and older, you should not take an aspirin to prevent a first heart attack or stroke, because the risk of bleeding is thought to be better than any potential benefit.
But if you've had the stroke before or a heart attack before, you should keep going.
Absolutely. These new guidelines do not apply to people who have already had a heart attack or stroke. They should not stop their aspirin.
And what about the age group, say from 40 to 70, if they've been taking a daily dose of aspirin, what do you do there?
That's where it's a little tricky. If you're between 40 and 70 and you're at high risk for heart disease, but low risk for bleeding, it might be an option, so you should talk to your doctor.
All right, Dr. Jen Ashton trying to clear up the confusion tonight for us. Next, a former Pennsylvania pediatrician was sentenced to at least 79 years in prison today. 71-year-old Dr. Johnny Bartow was convicted of sexually assaulting 31 children. This means he will very likely spend the rest of his life behind bars. Tonight, a guilty plea from a young woman who pushed her friend from that bridge in Washington State. 16-year-old Jordan Holgerson, she was the one pushed. She broke several ribs, punctured both lungs in that 60-foot fall. Taylor Smith will be sentenced next week. She faces up to a year in jail. And to super bloom mania tonight in Southern California, officials in Lake Elsinore temporarily shutting down Walker Canyon after, quote, Disneyland-sized crowds arrived to see the poppies. They say there's no parking anywhere. They hope you will delay your trip. It is beautiful. When we come back, the best. Finally tonight here, the young player and his team, America Strong. 9-year-old Austin Weaver plays basketball on the team at Martin's Elementary School in Parkersburg, West Virginia. Diagnosed with cerebral palsy at 3, he wears braces to help him walk better. At his first game this season, one of his teammates held his hand throughout. And watch what just happened at his last game of the season. Number 50, Grayson Board there, getting the ball and handing it to Austin. They try to sink that basket together. It was a miss, but don't worry, because if at first you don't succeed, number 50, determined to give Austin another shot. And just look at Austin's reaction. Austin's mother proudly posting, Austin made a basket tonight. We're so blessed to have so many people support him. A huge thanks to his team for always helping him. Austin Weaver, America Strong. Austin rocks, so does his team. He just made our Monday. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.